Hi, I've got her out, the Cheshire Cat, in full force. She's sexy, but she's empowered, and that is the main thing. I wanted to talk more about psychiatric units being sectioned and psychosis. I haven't spoken about it much on here because I think, people judge. They really judge. And before it happened to me, I would have just thought about One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest with Jack Nicholson in it. And I don't know, people getting electrocuted. You know what I mean? It's like, what do we really know about this unless you actually experience it? And I'd like to share more about it. And I just think, do you know what? I feel like the universe needs this. So, yeah, 6 months of psychosis. Mine was personally caused by harm from a prescribed medication, which can happen. Whereas psychosis can come from many different things. It can come from smoking too much weed. Anxiety, social anxiety. It's happened a lot in the pandemic. People being isolated, people being really anxious, that anxiety turning into paranoia, that paranoia turning into psychosis, hallucinations, people talking to you, things like this. Psychosis can also be through somebody in the sense that they will go into psychosis like a lot, and that will be their state without some sort of intervention. There are some people who are functioning in this reality and then they will go into a psychosis and come back out again if left. But often people are very terrified when someone goes into a psychosis. Widely it's not spoken about, and people are, terrified what that person's going to do, and they get quite quickly taken to a psychiatric unit and sectioned in a psychosis. This can be incredibly terrifying for that person. And, out of the 3 psychiatric units I went through in my time, not one of them was supportive, nourishing, and at all helpful. It was terrifying, absolutely terrifying. And I understand my experience is very different to other people's experience in terms of like why I was in there and the type of psychosis that I was having. But for everyone that was in there, the experience was the same of the abuse, the oppression, and the way things are handled. I like to think that harm control, which is kind of what you are sort of doing with some people in psychosis, because you don't want them to harm someone else, you don't want them to harm themselves. There's that balance, isn't there? Well, where do they go? But at the same time, surely not here, surely not there, because honestly, it's shocking. It's really shocking what happens in those places. And I want to share more about it on here because I want to speak for those people. Love.